Okay. Well, hey look, script. Hi. Oh, hey look, there's actually some people watching. I know it's really early in the morning, and I'm sorry I look like death right now. It's because I just woke up. But I wanted to get this out there today because for the rest of the day, starting at noon, my sister and I are watching Pretty Little Liars for the entire day up until the season finale tonight. So if you guys watch Pretty Little Liars and you want to live tweet with us tonight, our page is at PLL Chats. And it's my sister's page. I can't really say our page. I only guest admin when she's gone. But we're also going to be live periscoping. So make sure you go and follow the page for some awesome live tweeting tonight. It's going to be so much fun. Alright, on to the reason I'm having this little impromptu periscope. Today I'm talking about the Shadowhunters sides and my opinions and the difference between the facts and the opinions of the arranged marriage plotline for Shadowhunters. If you're not here for Shadowhunters, that's what I'm going to be talking about. So this is definitely a spoiler video. So if you don't want to be spoiled for Shadowhunters, it's probably not a good idea that you're here. Really what I'm going to be talking about today comes from the audition sides for 4 different characters, mainly 3. It's mainly just comes from Lydia, Maris, and not Hodge. I haven't read Hodge's. Robert Lightwood. So I'm just going to talk to you about kind of what happens, what the arranged marriage plotline really is, what's going on with the arranged marriage plotline, and I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm just gonna kind of explain to you, like, what we know is gonna happen and what's speculation at this point, and why I'm just gonna go ahead and say I believe this is a good thing for the show, and I'm gonna kind of explain myself about that. I'm gonna explain to you guys why I feel that way, why I sincerely believe this is a good idea, and just my opinions and everything based on what I've read and based on what I know about the showrunners and what I know about the show in itself. Okay, so the facts are, in episode 5, Maris Lightwood comes back from Idris. Robert and Max don't come back until episode 6, the next episode. So it's just Maris in the first episode. And when she comes back, she is kind of in a bad mood. She's she talks about how the Accords are falling apart, and then later we find out that she's in episode 6, we find out from Robert that she's in a bad mood because of the clave, he says, is pulling away from the Lightwood family, which they only do for families whose honor is beyond repair. Now, up till this point, up until episode 5, Alec has been in charge of the Institute. He was completely in charge while the attack on the Vampire Hotel happened. Everything for the first 4 episodes, in the Clave's view and in his parents' view, is technically Alec's fault. And he accepts that. He accepts that he screwed up. So, when Maris comes up with the idea, I don't know if somebody suggested it to her in the Clave while she was in Idris, or if she just came up with it on her own, or because from what I get, it's a common thing with Shadowhunters that they do this. But when Maris, she comes up with this idea that they're going to marry one of their children to a family of high honor so that they can restore their honor. And since Isabel has been having relations with Downworlders, Maris believes that she cannot attract the kind of family they need. Because Max is too young, Alec is the only one left. And Alec, I believe, this is speculation at this point, because I haven't actually read the point where Alec finds out. I've read when Isabel finds out, and she's kind of pissed about it. So is Robert, by the way. Because Robert thinks Isabel can do it. I don't think Robert has that much faith in Alec to do many things, and that's kind of apparent from the beginning when he first comes in. But I think Alec kind of accepts it because in his mind it's a sort of penance for the trouble he's caused with his parents. The trouble he's caused with his parents, the trouble he's caused with the Clave. Basically, he's thinking it's punishment for everything he did wrong while he's gone, while his parents were gone. So, he's not completely on board with the idea. But he's not pushing back because, you know, he thinks it's entirely his duty to rescue his family's honor because he thinks them losing their honor is entirely his fault. In episode 8, he finds out when Lydia Branwell comes into town and starts taking over the Institute, he finds out that his parents were in Valentine's circle, which he did not previously know. And so he starts to put the pieces together, and he starts realizing that this marriage isn't about him messing up. It's not about his failures. It's about his parents. So, and here's where I'm about to get into my idea, my whole soapbox of why I think it's a good idea for Shadowhunters to do this. In a book, you can characterize a character relatively easily. I'm not going to say writing's easy. I'm an author. It's not. Characterizing a character is not easy. But there is a difference between what you can write in between dialogue in a book and describe a character's reactions, describe a character's characterization. There's a lot you can do in a book that you can't do in a television show. In a television show, you can't see into a character's head. You can't see the deepest parts of their characters. You can't see a lot. And you have to find different ways to characterize your characters early on. And I believe this is a season-long plot line, because like I said, he doesn't even find out about the Circle till episode 8 of 13. Which I believe is what they're not filming just yet. I know they just cast Lydia, and I think they're about to start filming 8, if they're not already. So, it's a season-long plotline to, if I'm not mistaken, what it is to get Alec together with Magnus. A lot of people are saying that it's, you know, it's tearing them apart, it's straight-washing him. First thing, Alec is not straight. Alec is very far from straight. Alec is still very gay and very in love with Magnus in the show. You can see it in a lot of his lines. You can see it in the way Isabel treats him, in the way Magnus treats him, in the way he treats Magnus. He is still gay. That's not changing. The point of an arranged marriage is that your parents arrange it and it's not you falling in love. This has nothing to do with Alec's sexuality. As much as people want to say that it's got something to do with it, it has nothing to do with Alec's sexuality at the beginning. And I think he's willing to give up his happiness and his sexuality when he thinks it's his duty to, because it's his duty to protect his family. But when he finds out about his parents, and finds out that this is basically them trying to fix what they screwed up however many years ago. I think it's like 20 years ago in the show. It might be 18 years ago. I'll have to look that up. But when he realizes that, I think at this point is when he starts rebelling against his parents. I think this is very much a device to characterize Alec, to show that he loves his family. But it's also a way to get him confident in his sexuality. In that, I believe that what they're doing is they're setting it up for him to eventually go off on his parents and say, you know what, screw you, I'm not fixing your problems, you can fix your own, I'm not responsible for fixing this. And that would also give him a chance to start dating Magnus, basically out of spite for his parents, but also because he likes him. I think that's what this entire plotline is for, is to get Alec and Magnus together. I honestly think it is more a Malik plotline than anything else, and everybody's treating it like it's going to come in the way of it, and I sincerely think it's the opposite. I think it's they're setting up this plot line so that Alec can tell his parents, no, I'm not going to date who you want. I'm going to go date this guy because I'm actually in love with him. So, personally, I think that's what this plotline is for. I think it's building up Alec's character. It's building up his relationship with his parents. It's a way to show his relationship with his parents. And it's a way to show how he reacts when they're in the circle. It's a plot device to show a lot of different characterization we get with Alec Lightwood in the early books that they maybe don't have time to show in the actual scenes, you know? It's just a plot device to show things by showing them and not telling them. Which ultimately I believe is like the difference between a book and a television show. A book can have a lot more telling. A book can cut corners and say, this is how Alec feels about this. In a show, you have to show almost everything. I mean, you can talk through dialogue, but showing is such a big part of any film. Any type of film. And I think that's what the writers are doing. I don't think this is changing anything for the books. I think it's a way for Alec to become confident in his sexuality, become confident in who he is as a Shadowhunter, become confident in his relationship with his parents, and eventually start dating Magnus. I think that's entirely what this is. I think it's entirely building up Alec and Magnus, not trying to tear it down. Exactly. Malik is the end game. That's been very clear for at least to me, reading the scripts, talking to the writers. It's been very clear for me since the beginning that Malik is the end game. I mean, for at least for the first season. That's one of their end games, is to get Malik together as soon as possible. It's just gonna happen. It's not... I don't in any way believe Alec is gonna fall in love with Lydia and suddenly decide, oh, I'm actually straight, or I'm actually bi, and I'm gonna go marry this girl. Just because you date someone, or are engaged to someone, doesn't mean you're gonna marry them. An arranged marriage is only an engagement until you're actually married. So at this point, the arranged marriage thing is really just the arranged engagement. They're not getting married. I have not seen anything that actually indicates that they are actually going to get married. I truthfully don't believe that. Lydia has been through an arranged marriage. Her parents tried to force her into one. And she basically said, fuck off, and went and married her true love. And now he's dead. He died a couple years ago. But I don't think they're going to actually get married. I don't think that is anyway the end game for this show. Lydia is, I believe she's a good person at heart. I think what Cassie and Ed Dector said about her was that she's a lifeline to the Clave more than anything, because she comes in from Idris to take control of the Institute. Is that her first line? I think that's her first line. It's one of her first lines in the show. Is, Maris Robert, the Clave has ordered me to take temporary control of this institute. And that's one of the first things we see. And I don't know. She's not a bad person, and I can see that later when she's talking to Alec. That she's friends with Alec. She's friendly toward him, more friendly than she is towards the other Lightwoods. And I do believe that is, I think Cassie has already confirmed it at this point, that she is the one Alec's parents are going to end up engaging him to and forcing him to marry. But it's not about who his parents want him to marry, it's about who he loves. And he does not love Lydia Branwell. He might be friends with her. She doesn't love him, he doesn't love her. He loves Magnus Bane. You can tell that from very early on in the show. And I don't think this is going to affect as much as people think it's going to affect. I really don't. I mean, Lydia is a new character, but I honestly believe she's a plot device more than anything, trying to get Malik into the show. She's a sweet person, but she's either going to turn out to be evil or die later on. I'm 90% sure. She just seems, I don't know. She seems like a very disposable character. Very disposable. She's strong, and she's a really, like, powerful and confident woman. But there's something about her that just screams, I'm only here for a plot device. So I don't know how much longer she's actually going to be in the show. I know there was another character they brought in, a couple of other characters they brought in specifically for the show that die very early on. A lot earlier than I wanted them to. But, that's my opinions. You guys can ask questions, send me, asks on Tumblr, and I'll try to answer them. But that's basically my opinion on it. On the arranged marriage thing. People are making such a big deal out of it. And honestly, I think you have so much to be grateful for with this show. Reading the scripts, reading everything they've brought in from the books that they did not have to bring in. And just doing such a great job with casting and doing such a great job with writing some of these fantastic scenes. And it seems all everybody wants to do really is bitch about it and, you know, complain about one single plot line when a show is made up of thousands. You know, I say you know way too much. I don't think it's that big of a plot line. I really don't. I mean, it's going to be a major point of contention between the Lightwood family, definitely. Definitely it's going to be a point of contention. The Lightwoods aren't the only characters. It's not the only plot line. It is not taking center stage in the show. I mean, Clary's still trying to find her mother. That's basically the center of the show. This is just what you see in this one character's sides. So, you know, if this character is brought in specifically to be Alec Lightwood's fiance, yeah, her sides are going to be about the arranged marriage because people need to know, the casting directors need to know how she works with Alec, how she acts around the subject. That's what these sides are for, is to show the kind of the traits an actor needs to have for this show. And I mean that's why Max is focused on his siblings, because that's pretty much all he talks to in the show. That's what's important when they're casting the character. The sides are not meant to give you a full view of what they're doing in the show. They're meant to give you a character, what this character is most about. And I think that's what most people are missing about this. Just because Lydia is all about the arranged marriage, and Maris and Robert, when they first come in, that's a scene between the two of them. That does not mean that that's the entire storyline with these characters. It just means it is a big one that the actors need to be able to address well. So, ask me questions. I'll answer what I can. You guys know my Tumblr, TMI quote page, Shadowhunter chat on Twitter. It's spelled SHDWHNTR chat. I also have best TMI quotes on Twitter. Just, you know, send me questions. I'll try and answer it, but please stop getting so hung up on this one plotline. There are so many others that we are going to have so much fun with when the show comes out. And I would hate for this one storyline to be the one to tear everybody apart. To be the one that costs the show viewers and costs the second season before it's even begun. It's one plot line. There have been 1,000 plot lines in, say, Pretty Little Liars or Vampire Diaries that I've hated. But overall, I love both those shows because they have 1,001 more plot lines that I do like. There are going to be storylines on Shadowhunters you don't like or you don't agree with or that are not in the books, and you cannot base your love or hate for the show on that one plotline, especially before you've seen it in the show, especially before you've even seen any of the show. So just calm down. I have like 5 minutes, which is why my sister's at my door. I can hear her. Just calm down. Stop making such a big deal out of one story and try to enjoy the ride that is our second chance at getting Shadowhunters, at getting the Mortal Instruments on the screen. Okay, we didn't have to have this. You guys are making a huge deal out of something so small. Please just give the show a chance. You're making such a big deal, and it really doesn't need to be. Relax, calm down, and wait for the show to come out before you start making huge accusations and decisions about whether you love it or hate it. Alright, that's it. I'm done. And I have 5 minutes for Pretty Little Liars, so... Bye, guys. Love you.